Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about progressive bass steps and how you can use Formant filters to make them a little bit more interesting. I was asked to remake a sound from a track and it had this kind of feature to it, but I didn't really get the sound straight, or I didn't really get the exact same sound as the request. Although I do think that what I have for you today is still a very handy tip that you can use to make your bassline steps for progressive Psytrance a lot more interesting. So let's dive right into that. Alright, so here we have the original. Now this is just a little piece of the track and I'll put a link to the full thing in the description. As I said, I didn't really get the exact same sound, so don't expect my version to sound exactly like the original. But this is the original anyway, so you can kind of hear what I was inspired by. And here we have my version. So it's nice, kind of metallic, formanty sounding bass step that you can use at the start of a drop or maybe in a fill or something. In general, just kind of an interesting sound. And it might look very, very complicated what I'm doing here, but it's really not. What we're doing is we're just kind of generating a very specific kind of tone here. And the way we're doing that is using two square bass lines here, one being an octave higher than the other one, and then we have two FM routing set up to both of these, and then they both mix into a high pass filter. Now what that filter does is it kind of, as you can see, messes with the phase a lot, and that actually reintroduces some of the kind of sub feeling of it. Even though we're kind of filtering it out, you can kind of see it still has kind of a round feeling to it right now, and with the Q you can kind of extremify it, and as you can see, if we turn up the Q, it will turn up the amount of sub bass, because obviously it's also boosting here, but it's also introducing those phases in such a way that they actually become a lot louder just by having that filter there. So you can hear that it gives it a different tone and it sounds a lot nicer when this filter is there. So this is a case where we use filters and the kind of negative side effect in a way that actually benefits our sound. So that's really interesting here. But the main thing I wanted to talk about is how you can use Formant filters. And as you can see, in a very, very light fashion here, you can see our Q is very low and we're passing both through the lows and the highs to give it a little bit of a different tone. So let me actually play it and play with this knob where it is. So you can hear, just by doing that, you can kind of shape the tone of your mid-range of the bass. And it just sounds a lot cooler that way, and it's a little bit more unique. So the way this is set up here, we have a macro, which is kind of working as our envelope. If we go to our macro here, you can see it's kind of doing the envelope shape here for us. You can set this however you want. Maybe you want it like that, or you can even do like more crazier stuff if you want. But for now, let's just keep it like that. And the macro is going to both the Q of our Formant filter as well as the cutoff of our main filter here, which is doing the actual filtering kind of tone of it. So really what's happening is that our signal, our generated signal here, goes through the Formant filter, and then it goes through the distortion unit, which kind of glues it back together and just makes it sound a little bit more, you know, glued together and a little bit more like one sound. And then we have Snap Heap here, which is doing something interesting. Now this is something I set up because in our original, what I saw, if we go to the spectrum, let me quickly delete that and open up the spectrum here. In our original, we can see these little peaks here, all at the C level. So to emulate that, what I decided to do was to also set up resonators and C notes there, and to kind of still try to get the same sound. So that's what they're for. They're really adding very little to the tone of it, but it's another cool trick that you can use. And this is just the overall mix of all 4 resonator tracks. So yeah, that's the whole patch really. Something you can do to make this more interesting is give it a little bit of stereo spread and then process it with a stereo imager. So you would go with a stereo processor like this one. Now this is, you can also find something like this in Isotope. Isotope Imager does the same thing. And the way this works is you set relative stereo with these 4 bands, and then you can set the overall winding here. So let's say you want it really wide or fairly mono. And then you can saturate it as well. I like to saturate the high end a little bit and just overall the general sound as well. And you kind of get a cool, nice tone out of it that way. So that's some of the things that I wanted to show you here. And they're just kind of more general tips that I came across when trying to sound design something else. I know we didn't get into a specific sound and how to really remake this sound that I had for you. But I hope that you still like this kind of stuff. Let me know if you want to do more of this stuff where I just go around and kind of show you the tricks that I find along the way. Because I find a lot of these weird kind of tricks that I never really get to show because I feel like the end result isn't good enough in terms of the recreation of the sound that I was trying to go for. So a lot of these tricks that I have just kind of get thrown away because the sound, the final sound never gets used because of that. So let me know if you're interested into actually seeing these tricks more as well. I would really like to see if you guys like that. So leave a like down below if you enjoyed this kind of video and if you want to see more. And if you're new, subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.